If you think of a business, strategy is kind of like the brain, right? And finance, that's the heart. Well, then operations, that's the muscle. It's the part that actually turns all those brilliant ideas and big money plans into something real, something that happens day in and day out. But what happens when that muscle is just constantly exhausted, no matter how hard you push it?
I mean, have you ever felt this? You look around and your team is just crushing it. People are putting in the hours, they're hitting their targets, but the company as a whole, it just feels stuck. Kind of sluggish, right? Progress feels slow, customers are getting cranky. It's this super frustrating problem, and the answer isn't just to work harder. It's to start working smarter.
So, in this breakdown, we're going to tackle that exact problem head-on. First up, we're going to talk about breaking down those departmental islands. The silos that cause so much friction. Then, we'll become detectives and pinpoint the one single bottleneck that's holding your entire company back. And, to wrap it up, we'll go on a hunt for the 8 hidden thieves of productivity that are secretly costing you a ton of time and money.
Okay, let's dive right into one of the biggest plagues in any modern business, the silo mentality. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's that thing where teams get so focused on their own goals that they just finish their work and kind of toss it over the fence to the next department without a single thought for what happens next. So here's how it actually happens. Your typical company org chart, it creates these vertical columns, right? People naturally start to only look up at their boss or down at their direct reports. And in the process, they become completely blind to what's happening horizontally in the department sitting right next to them. This is what creates that really toxic mindset of, hey, I did my part, it's not my problem anymore.
Let's walk through a little disastrous scenario to see how this plays out. Imagine the marketing team launches this massive flash sale, and by all their metrics, it is a roaring success. They generate 5,000 new orders and absolutely crush their KPIs. You can almost hear the champagne corks popping as they celebrate this huge win.
But, and this is a huge but, they forgot one tiny, absolutely crucial detail. They forgot to actually tell the people who have to fulfill all these orders. The warehouse team, the customer service team, they had absolutely no idea that a tsunami of 5,000 orders was about to come crashing down on them.
And the result? It was an absolute catastrophe. The warehouse is completely understaffed, so deliveries are now 5 days late. Customer service is totally overwhelmed with angry callers. People are canceling orders, 1-star reviews are flooding in. And here is the real kicker. Marketing's individual win created a massive, system-wide loss for the entire company. It just torched their profits and their reputation.
So what's the fix? Well, it's a really simple but profound shift in how you think. You have to redefine who your customer is. The person who receives your work, they are your customer. That colleague who's waiting for your report, your customer. And giving them a messy, incomplete file isn't just being lazy, it's just plain terrible customer service. Now, to see just how critical this is, let's look at what's called the 1-10-100 rule. It shows how the cost of one tiny little mistake can literally explode as it moves through the system. So picture this. A salesperson types the wrong phone number, but they catch it right away. The cost? It's minimal, maybe a minute of their time. Let's call that the $1 cost. But what if they don't catch it? That file gets passed on to the accounting department. Now an invoice gets printed with the wrong number. Suddenly, the cost multiplies by 10. You're wasting the time of 2 different people, plus paper, ink, and all the hassle of having to void the first invoice and create a new one. That's our $10 cost.
And here's where it all goes sideways. The delivery driver takes that incorrect invoice out to the real customer. They're confused, they refuse the delivery, and the product has to come all the way back. The cost has now exploded to $100. You've lost the sale, you've paid for shipping twice, and worst of all, you've damaged your company's reputation, all because of a single typo.
Okay, so this brings us to our next big idea, the bottleneck. I want you to think of your company's workflow like an hourglass. It seriously doesn't matter how wide the top part is. The overall speed of the sand is dictated entirely by that one single narrowest point. That narrow point, that's your bottleneck.
And this, right here, is why focusing only on individual performance can be so incredibly dangerous. I mean, one person might be able to complete 50 reports a day, but if all those reports just pile up on the desk of one overworked manager, that speed is completely useless. See, true system performance isn't about everyone running their own personal best race. It's about the entire team getting together to help the slowest runner go faster.
So how do you spot a bottleneck in the wild? Well, you want to look for 3 really clear signs. First, Look for a mountain of work piling up. This could be a physical inbox just overflowing with paper, or a digital queue in your project management tool that just keeps getting longer. Second, find the stress center. Who's that person that's always overwhelmed, always working late, and just seems to be on the verge of burnout? And third, kind of counterintuitively, look for people who are idle. The team that comes after the bottleneck is often just sitting around, waiting for work to trickle through.
So once you've found it, whatever you do, don't immediately just scream, "We need to hire more people." There's a much smarter 4-step process. First, you exploit the bottleneck. That means you make sure that person or that machine is only doing its single most critical task. Get rid of all other distractions. Second, you subordinate everything to it. The rest of the system has to slow down to match the bottleneck's pace. Otherwise, you're just creating more pileups. Third, if you've done those first two things and it's still too slow, now you can think about elevating it by investing money, maybe better software, more training, or yes, a new liar. And finally, once you fix one bottleneck, guess what? A new one is just going to appear somewhere else. The process of improvement, it never, ever stops.
All right, for our final section, we're going on a hunt. We are looking for the 8 hidden thieves that are secretly stealing time and money from your company every single day. I want you to think of this as your official waste spotting toolkit.
And the easiest way to remember all 8 of them is with a simple acronym, downtime. Each letter represents a different type of waste that's just silently draining your company's resources.
Let's run through them real quick. D is for defects. This is any mistake that forces you to do work all over again. O is for overproduction. This is just doing more than is needed, like that reply all email that CCs the entire department when only 2 people needed to see it. And W is for waiting. You know, all that dead time you spend waiting for a manager's approval, waiting for an answer, or waiting for a meeting to finally start.
N stands for non-utilized talent. And oh man, this one is huge. It's when you have a brilliant, high-paid strategist wasting hours just formatting a PowerPoint presentation. T is for transportation, which is all the unnecessary movement of information. Just think of a file being emailed back and forth, creating a dozen different versions and endless confusion about which one is the final one.
I is for inventory. This is the backlog of work just sitting there like an inbox with 500 unread emails. M is for motion, any unnecessary physical movement like that long walk to the one printer at the other end of the office. And finally, E is for extra processing. This is adding all the bells and whistles that nobody asked for, like creating a complex 3D chart for an internal report when a simple number would have done the job perfectly.
So let's bring it all together. To make a real, tangible impact, you really only need to do 3 things. First, start seeing the company as a whole system, not just your little silo. Second, find and then fix the one bottleneck that's dictating everybody's speed. And third, become a relentless detective, always hunting down and eliminating those 8 wastes of downtime.
Look, this isn't just some abstract theory. It's a practical guide to making a real impact where you work. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. As you go about your week, looking at your own daily tasks, which one of these 8 wastes are you going to make it your personal mission to eliminate first? Because the answer to that question could unlock a whole new level of productivity for you and your entire team.